Do another war report here. There's a kind of a lot going on, but also nothing particularly kind of crazy happening. So I'll try and cover it all quickly and get through it all without too much fluff. So let's get straight to it. So this is the current map of the universe. I've got green here for Panfam, orange is Fraternity, in the initiative is this dark red, and the purple is Goons, and then this yellow is kind of siege green, xix, and a few other groups that I'll go into a bit more detail on. They're also a little bit over here, but Delve's kind of a bit crazy right now, querious too, so I've kind of left them a little bit out. Initiative have secured a small amount of Delve, so we'll talk about that later. Pretty much with regards to the Northern War, things have stayed relatively stable. There hasn't been any massive move into cash, and again there hasn't been any move backwards, like Goons have not been attacked back too much into Scalding Pass Insmother. I believe there's some stuff going on with Fortizars in Great Wildlands, that's kind of in the middle, so that makes sense that there'd be a little bit of skirmishing going on there as well. The big thing really this week is there's been talk of these groups in Wicked Creek and Detorrid leaving, which would mean that Goons have now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 regions under their control. Stain, you could maybe say, is not under their control, but it's, you know, it's heavily watched by them. So that'd be a lot. That'd be maybe 13 if we take out Stain, so 13 systems. And then there's obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have a few more regions. I think these Dronelands regions are reported to have more systems, so whether or not that equals out or not, but it certainly looks like a bigger swath of the map. They've got the whole south now, and they're pushing out all these other groups so that they can solidify that. Initiatives moved a little bit into Delve. There was an initiative versus Frat conflict, but that seems to have really slowed down. There's been a little bit of a, well, there was a huge 3 trillion-isk fight in Losec recently, but nothing really in the regards of like sovereignty warfare going on. Alright, so what should we do first? So we'll go through quickly and just give a rough idea of the structure defs to give us kind of an idea of who's pushing where and what's going on. So Insmother is still firmly in Goon control. There are small groups defending some of these things, but pretty much if Goons form a strat fleet, it doesn't get contested. And as a result, you can see that the kills are still piling in. This was over 11 days, so you've got 26 athanors, 26 astra houses, nice little bit of symmetry there, 2 retirees, and 5 Fortizars. Now I think I said this last time, but I think we're coming to the end of the structures in Insmother. I'm really surprised that there's this many things like astra houses. I think there was probably 1 or 2 in every system by the looks of things. And the reason why we're still seeing these kills coming in, and you know, they're still literally coming in day to day, is that there's been small groups of slyce guys defending them. Hey Young King, hey Fim. Oh, I've pressed stream, not record. Oh well, that's fine. Let's just change the title. I will have to grab this stream, I guess, and use it for later. Then we've got the Delve structures. So Delve was a bit more tricky to figure out, and I don't really have all the information. Yeah, well, I'm going to cover what's going on, hopefully. So Delve, you can see things on Zkill. You can see ships dying with structures in them on Zkill. So you can this is kind of where I've got my numbers from that you see here. So this is anything I can find on Zkill. So there was 8 athanors, 5 astra houses, a retiree, 3 ansiblexes, 3 Fortizars. This one was killed in transit and was a faction Fortizar, so much more valuable, and 2 Tataras. I've had a chat with, and querious, you've got 13 athanors, 2 metanox, 1 retiree, 2 Ansiblex and an Asbel. So obviously we add all that up. We're getting kind of close on the number of Athanors. We're not really getting close on the Astras and stuff like that. And the Fortizars obviously, maybe even if you consider the faction Fortizar. What you need to add to this though is that Goons and Brave unanchored many structures. They quoted 400 in one of their announcements, which seems too many. That would be something like 10 per system, which is a crazy amount. And I know that some systems will have like 10 plus, but I've been in Delve and there's not that many structures there, so maybe take that bit of grain of salt. They sold a lot of structures, so they've sold keepstars. They haven't taken down any of the keepstars as far as I'm aware, apart from maybe one, and they sold things like the NOL keepstar, which is right near the border with Iridia. They've sold that to Initiative, and they've sold the Sarv and things like that. They did this big operation as well where they timed all of their structures to unanchor roughly the same time, and they formed big strout fleets and tried to cover them and tried to stop people stealing them. Somewhat successful, somewhat unsuccessful. I know at least one faction Fortizar was stolen during that process, and I've been told many other small structures, but it's kind of OPSEC. They won't tell you exactly how many because of the ways they've done it. They've used kind of Goon Swarm characters and things like that, and they're not 100% wanting to reveal that. But basically, when you unanchor lots and lots of structures, you're going to lose some, unless you're absolutely perfect on it, which is not humanly a thing that people do. People usually lose some. So you can probably add on a bit more to this. So I'd say that the Fortizar side of things is probably even. Obviously our spells are quite expensive as well. So I think we're getting to the point now where the Insmother side of things, stuff dying in Insmother's over pretty much. There's going to be a few more things, and now we're going to start seeing things explode in other areas. I think the Delve and the Querious explosions are done for Goon Swarms. There's a load of fighting going on there with other groups. I'm not going to cover that, it's not really part of the group, but the groups who've moved in are actively fighting each other, which is really cool. Alright, so Scalding Pass, there's pretty much nothing in Scalding Pass to shoot. There's just big keepstars and stuff for movement for goons, so that's not had any action. Great Wildlands had a bit of action. It's had some Metanoxes die to random groups. I include them even if they weren't killed by Goon Swarm, because if Goon Swarm weren't invading us, then these most likely would have been defended, probably. There's an athanor, there's a Fortizar there that was killed by Goon Swarm, so they're trying to kill the Great Wildlands Fortizars. Some of them have been defended, some of them have been killed, and there was one Metanox that Goons put down that somebody killed. Cash, this is like NC space. They've lost some Athanors, some Astrahars, 3 Retaurus. This is over 11 days, so there's been some skirmishes over the small structures, and they've lost a few. Geminate, being one random Metanox. I think some random dude just put it down, and then a load of other Metanoxes. These are typically getting killed by really low effort attempts, and I think the Metanoxes there are Horde Alliance Metanoxes, so it's just, you know, you're getting attacked from 2 different angles. You are going to start to let things go. And Metanoxes dying is kind of like a billionaire skeech. It's not too big of a deal. And then an Ansiblex, which has been replaced, but obviously you don't want to lose your Ansiblexes. I don't know if that was a old Ansiblex where it's on the gate grids, but it died anyway. So let's get into the notes, the boring bit. So the geography of the world, where everything's happening. So Delve and Querious has been evacuated, sold or transferred. Streamer groups have taken some of it. So this is the streamer groups who anchored a keepstar in BWF and had a big fight over that. They've taken some of Delve, which is interesting. Initiative's taken quite a big chunk. xix-siege, OnlyFleets and Syndicate have got a coalition, and they've taken some, and they've been given some, so they've been sold off by Goons. Insmother is still being cleaned up. Slyce groups, I know, are stopping low effort structure kills. This is why it's taking so long, is that if there's just some bombers trying to kill a structure, then typically Slyce will show up and stop them. So it's been taking ages. They've had to form big fleets for these, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's effort. That's why it's taken a while. Etherium reach in the Delve border. There's been loads of skirmish fights at the Delve border. That's not right. The Insmother border, I guess. Insmother. The Cache border has had bigger fleets, so looks like that's where Goons really want to get a beachhead, is Cache. And smaller groups are being forced out. xix-siege, Slags, they're still actually in their space, So them getting forced out is kind of an ongoing process, but apparently that's all been agreed. This is just what I'm hearing from the PanFam announcements. I haven't really seen much in the way of Goon announcements recently. There's not been much leaked that I've seen. I've also been working, so I haven't really been looking. So from the Horde side of things, there was one big announcement, and that was that we're moving from our home of many years of MJ5 to E8 TAC 4. Now that is from Peregrine Falls into Etherium Reach, which if we look back at our map, it's kind of from up here down to here. We're moving all of the kind of core stuff that people have. So it's a huge move, basically. It's been lots of bridging, lots of people making stupid mistakes, just like any move. So the blood toll is being paid for the move, as Goons paid for their moves. That's just part of Eve, and lots of it's pretty much most people are done, but obviously people have weeks off and stuff like that. The big difference is that MJ5 isn't going anywhere time soon, whereas Delve and Brave, there's going to be a lot of guys who are on holiday in Brave who've come back, and all their stuff's in asset safety, which sucks for them, and they're going to have to navigate that out. So there has been some large fights. You can read these in the video description. You can like load the Z kills, but basically there's mostly the ones that I've found have been border skirmishes between Insmother and Etherium Reach, or Insmother and Cache. So there was a fight in EFM on the disengage. Basically there wasn't really a fight, there was just a lot of posturing, and then Horde disengaged and the FC disconnected, and therefore a load of people just did not know what to do, or the war pins were bad or something. It just didn't go well, and they lost 17 billion ISK, basically didn't kill any goons, so that was a big F. This was all battleships. Then on the 20th, so the next day, goons were escalating up, so they were using small ships like frigates. I think they were using flycatchers or harpies, and then that didn't go so well, so they escalated into vultures, killed some bubbles on the border gate, and then when they tried to leave, the battleships were positioned like I think 200-300 kilometers away, and a Busha boosted a good chunk of their fleet out, and that mostly died. So that was 11 billion ISK they lost there for not much other than a few bubbles. Then they went into Cache. This was a much more significant fight. Horde lost 10 billion ISK and Goons lost 27 billion. So that's quite a chunky loss there, 27 billion. And obviously Horde with the 10. Horde's, a big note from this is Horde's dropped dreadnoughts, capital ships, and had therefore a numbers advantage. I think it was even on subcaps, but obviously it's kind of a home field advantage. You can drop dreads and the other side can't unless they really commit. Obviously Goons did not, so they were retreating and lost more. So that regional gate's causing an issue. They've been attacking keepstar, so they'll come in with quite big fleets and attack the shields on a keepstar. Shields don't have a damage cap, so they can get them done relatively quickly. In this one, they disengaged before PanFam contested them, and then I was on this fleet, and there was like 30 to 40 minutes where we were moving singular like 200-man fleets through a system, and the system would just be at 10% tie-dye, so it was horrendous tie-dye. We were trying to reposition to defend a Fortizar, and basically we couldn't reposition, and Goons clearly could, so that's just a game thing where sometimes you get stuck. Goons attack G-Tech-Q again. So G-Tech-Q used to be the staging, but at this point it wasn't. So when they attack it, PanFam are basically bridging in on top of them. So again, they lost a little bit for that attempt. Again, another one. This one was pretty clean. 8 billion list lost for Goons, and then on the 27th they did it again. So 2 billion is for PanFam, 11 billion is lost for Goons. So every time they've come over that regional, they've lost pretty much. There's one time that we went over the regional the other way and we lost. I mean, it kind of tells the whole story, doesn't it? If you go over the regional and you don't have the support, you have to retreat, and on the retreat you're going to lose some ships. There's also going to be some big move up deaths, obviously. So this is 171 billion ISK on Z kill, and if you look, a lot of the blueprints are counted as 0 ISK, and these are blueprint originals of very big things and blueprint copies of very big things, so they'll be worth much more than 171 billion ISK. This is like losing a keepstar. It's basically a very long-term industrial player's entire blueprint stash gone, which is crazy. And then there was another one here, which is, I think the Z kills 3 bill, but if you look, there's a load of blueprint originals again and loads of copies, so it's just going to be tons. And And it says here, tons more stuff to on Zkill, browse, and if you want to look at Horde deaths, then it's Peregrine Falls, Etherium Reach typically is where you'll find most of them for the moving. And the entire chain from Dalf to Insmother. So with regards to like big fleet movements and things like that, there's not really been much. There's been all these skirmishes over the border, and that's pretty much been it. Goons have killed some fortizars that they've had to form big for. There's been tons of skirmishing now, and the game itself has been fun for a lot of people. I know that a lot of people have had really good fun. I know that there's been lots of fleets going into Goon staging, like cheap cruiser fleets, and getting fights there. And then Goons have been doing similar with our area, bringing in some cheap comps or smaller comps, and getting fights or trying to get fights. Fraternity have been very active with their little SIG that comes and camps in our space, so they've been around and camping, and obviously Dalv has been super active. If you look at the Zkill history for Dalv and Querious right now, it's really active. There's loads of random different groups all attacking each other and all trying to claim space, so that's cool. It's cool to see. I'm glad it happened. I'm a bit worried that the South and ourselves are going to become a very entrenched set of fights, and there's not going to be much interesting beyond those borders. I think that behind the borders, like for us, it'll be Peregrine Falls and kind of deeper into our space, it's going to be not too much going on. And then for Goons, it's going to be like Tenerife, Itomis. I'm sure that's exactly what the Alliance leaders want, because they want some stability, especially if they're in a big war situation. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and get this stream and pull it into a video somehow. So we'll see how that goes. But thanks for coming and watching. Only a short stream because I wanted to do a short video and I clicked stream by accident. There you go. Have a good day and see you around.